the mission of the Commission on Water Resource Management probably is encapsulated in our motto, which is Ke Kahuvai Pono, which means the trustee who oversees the rightful sharing of water. So basically, if we're kind of like the water court before it goes to any higher courts as far as settling disputes for water and so forth. So that's our mission. And we have a lot of regulatory planning, data collection, and so forth that go along with helping to make those decisions.
Do we have a second for discussion purposes?
I'll second it for, Mr. Chair, I'll second for discussion.
Yeah, primarily the groundwater and surface water resources, the resource itself. So for groundwater, your aquifers, of course, and for surface water, streams from the headwaters to the ocean. The code itself does specifically say that the ocean waters are not under the water code, though we do deal with those from time to time, especially when you come to coastal environments such as wetlands and anchoring ponds.
Scott.
The water code itself, if I can quote the Supreme Court properly, said that it was an inartfully crafted document which gives you a flavor of how difficult it is to use. So there have been a number of Supreme Court decisions that have come out have, I guess, set us on the right path as far as how to interpret the water code. But it is difficult, yes. We do a lot of outreach. This past month, we had a bunch for our Water Resource Protection Plan, which is part of the Hawaii Water Plan, part of our planning activities and getting the word out and taking testimony and public input. So you do have to have good rapport with the public. You try to build that trust with the public, so you have to have those skills as well. The Water Commission we're attached to the Department of Land and Natural Resources. And the commission itself is 7 members, and we have, of course, the chairperson of DLNR, also the director of the Department of Health, and then we have 5 additional members who all have to have some expertise in water resources. One particular member needs to have expertise in Hawaiian traditional and customary rights in terms of using water. So there's 7 altogether, and they're the decision makers. We answer to them, and of course the chairperson and the deputy, we work with staff, and we're the go-betweens with the commissioners. That the water here is so clean, and because we're blessed with a really renewing hydrologic cycle here. Whereas in most other places in the world, you're talking like continental size, here in Hawaii, it's everything is compressed. We have the fresh rainwater coming right off the ocean, and it gets into our aquifers, our streams, traveling over short distances. So the water is really clean here, compared to most other areas in the world where they travel thousands of miles. Ours, relatively short distances. So it's really close to the source, and so. Yeah, you can taste, feel, and see the difference. Keep it clean and use only what you need. I'm really lean more on the quantity side of things, about use only what you need. My children and my family, they get mad at me often when I tell them, hey, this is how you take a shower, military. Turn the water on, wet. Turn it off, that's when you soap up, take your time, then turn it back on, rinse, and you're done. And, we live on a hill, and so I say, hey, you're gonna use that? You wanna carry it up from the bottom where we get the water and carry it up the hill? And they get an idea of how much, how valuable it is. Water's a heavy, it's a heavy compound, and it takes a lot of energy to move it around, and it's relatively cheap. We have the technology to make it cheap, move the water around. But if we didn't have that, it'd be, if we're back in the days where you had to have a stick and a gourd to carry things around, I think people would understand the value of water much better. No, not an endless supply, a renewing supply, a sustainable supply, which we have to keep an eye to. You don't want to exceed more than Mother Nature provides. So yeah, you want to, and that's the science part, which I enjoy, and we try to get at. A lot of it's tough. It's hydrology. If you look at all the math and equation, because math is the language of science, it's very akin to electrical engineering, electrical equations, those things. So it's it seems easy to understand, but when you get down to it, it's very difficult. And when you think about it, things like groundwater, can't even see what's under the ground, yet here we are trying to estimate how much is there for the long run, sustainably. And that's a tough answer to get at.